Hello happy travelers, welcome back to my channel. It's been a little bit difficult for me to record videos lately just because the first few weeks of the year were crazy. I had some family stuff going on, so finally getting back to it. Today I'm headed to Nashville, one flight. Hopefully will be pretty easy. It's a pretty crappy day here in LA. It's very rainy and cold. I thought today would be a good opportunity to talk to you about how much money flight attendants actually make. Fun fact, even though I am signed in and ready to go, I'm not getting paid right now. Something about flight attendants is they only get paid when the aircraft door is shut and when the parking brake is off. One airline recently did get some boarding pay, although it's still not their full rate. Now, obviously I'm at work, so I'm gonna have to go work a flight, and then when I'm in Nashville on my layover, I will tell you more about it. Normally I'd stop and get myself a triple shot of Starbucks, but I made myself a very strong coffee at home. And I feel like if I got Starbucks today, I could run to Nashville. So I'm gonna skip that and maybe drink some water. They just got done catering me in the back galley and it was blowing rain in from outside and everything is soaked now. And now we're about to start boarding and I'm gonna set up my back galley. Still not getting paid. But you know, it keeps me busy and out of the line of fire for boarding. So I don't mind that much. Hello everyone, I made it to my hotel room in Nashville. Now let's do a murder check, shall we? Murder's in there. Closet. Nope, we're all good. I think we're good. No murderers. Okay, hello. I'm settled in a little bit. I decided to leave my uniform on so I look more flight attendee. Is that a word? Flight attend-ish? Whatever. This is a short layover. It's only about 12 hours, so we're staying near the airport and I'm not gonna go out and do anything because I don't have that much time. I told you guys I would talk about how much money flight attendants make. This is a complicated subject, okay? It all depends on things like your seniority, where you're flying to, the type of plane that you're flying, what position on the plane you're flying, your hours. So let me start off with what I make daily generally as a baseline. My hourly rate is $52.77, which actually sounds like a lot, but when you take into account how much time flight attendants are on duty versus when they actually get paid their hourly rate, it kind of lowers the average quite a bit. Now that is after almost 9 years of flying. I definitely didn't start out that high. When I first started, it was $21 and change. I don't remember exactly how much it was. And about a year after I started, we got a new contract, so everyone got a little pay bump. So now the starting wage is $26.99. Still doesn't sound that bad, but the new hire flight attendants have to do straight reserve for at least a year. So flight attendants really don't make that much money when you're first starting out, but it does get better as you go on. You start at year one, obviously, and our top out pay is at 13 years. So once you reach 13 years seniority, that is the most that you'll make. The top out pay in my airline is $68.25. As I understand it, that is not the most, and that is not the least of the major airlines. So it's kind of right in the middle. Now, that is just your base hourly pay. There are a lot of other ways you can make money while flying. Now let's talk about per diem. So your hourly rate is what you get paid when you're on the plane and the plane door is shut and the parking brake is off during boarding, during sign-in, during delays. When you're in between flights for the day, you're not getting paid that hourly rate. But our per diem is what the airline basically pays us for our food expenses, and that goes from when we sign in until when we're let off of duty. If it's a 3-day trip, we'll get it from when we sign in on the first day to when we're done on the 3rd day, every hour, even when we're sleeping. If it's just one day, it actually is taxable, but if it's a multi-day trip, it is not taxable, which is nice. Our per diem every hour on a domestic trip is $2.20, and on an international trip, it is $2.50. So going on an international trip can get you a little bit more money, not only a little bit more in per diem, but you get more for your hourly rate too. If it's a non-premium international destination, something like the Caribbean or Central America or Canada, something kind of close like that, you get an extra $3 per hour, which not too shabby. And if it's a premium destination, meaning a long haul flight, something like London or Sydney or Europe or Asia or whatever, where it's a very long flight and there's a lot of service, you get an extra $3.75. So international, you're making more money, which is really nice, but international can be a bit more work. I don't fly that much international. We really don't have that much international out of LA anyway. There are other instances, things called irregular operations, where you might get paid a little bit more money. None of us ever want these irregular operations because they're huge pains in the butt. So for instance, we have understaffing pay. There's an FAA minimum for every plane. It depends on how many seats there are. There has to be a minimum number of flight attendants. I just flew on a Boeing 737. The minimum crew on that is 4. When our airline decides that a certain plane or a certain destination means we need X amount of flight attendants because it's going to be a long flight and there's lots of service or something like that. Let's say on the 737, they decide they need 5 flight attendants for that flight, even though the FAA minimum is 4. They'll put an extra flight attendant on there so you can kind of rotate breaks. But let's say they don't have that extra flight attendant on one day. They're still fine with the FAA minimum, which is 4. So that means they are understaffed. So understaffing pay is actually pretty good. It's $10.50 an hour, which is a pretty good pay bump, but that also means that those people are gonna be working extra hard, picking up the slack for the person that wasn't there. If you are a foreign language speaker, which you do have to go through a test and they have to make sure you can actually speak the language, there is an opportunity for you to make more money. Say if you're a Spanish speaker and they have a speaker position open on a flight to Mexico or wherever, you get an extra $2 an hour. And as I said before, depending on what position on the plane you're working, you could also get paid a little bit more. Now the lead flight attendant or the number 1 flight attendant gets a little bit more per hour, and that also depends on the plane. The smaller planes have less people in first class, so it's gonna start off a little bit less. On our smallest plane, it starts off at $1.25 an hour. Still a little bit more than usual, so not too shabby. And that's for a domestic flight. I have this whole chart here. Let me see if I can explain it. It's very complicated. And the most you can get paid on a domestic flight as a lead flight attendant would be on I think it's the 787, and you get $3.25 extra an hour to be a lead flight attendant. If you're purser qualified and the flight calls for a purser, don't ask me which flights call for purser when they're domestic. I don't know. You get $4.75 or $5.75 an hour depending on the plane. On the larger wide body planes, if you're working in the back galley, you get an extra $1 or so per hour. Since I work on the smaller planes, I don't get anything extra. If you're doing an international flight, you get paid a little bit more, and that depends on, again, if it's non-premium or premium. Non-premium is less, topping out at $6.50 an hour, still not too bad. And then the premium destinations where you will be purser qualified, you get $7.50 an hour more. So have I confused you enough on how much money flight attendants make? The guaranteed way to make more money is just to stay with the airline longer. You can finagle a few more dollars per hour if you're very strategic with which flights you take, but sometimes that can be difficult based on your seniority. I wish I could hold Hawaii all the time and get paid extra, but I cannot, unfortunately. The schedule is actually really flexible too, so our minimum is 40 hours per month, which doesn't sound like a lot. You can work a lot more than that. I know people who work upwards of 100 hours a month. There are FAA rules about how many days a flight attendant can work in a row and how many hours and such like that. They don't want people getting fatigued, even though we get fatigued all the time anyway, but that's another story. To wrap this all up, it could pretty much be a part-time job, which it kind of is for me. It can be very flexible if you're willing to put the work in to make it flexible, or you could work almost every single day, which is what those people who work 100+ hours do. It's very flexible on how much money you make or don't make. I'm sorry if it was confusing. It confuses us too. We're constantly asking each other questions about what we should be getting paid for. You should see our paychecks. We have to interpret them. It's very difficult to figure out if you've actually been paid correctly. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I will try to answer them as best I can. As I am rambling, I am going to settle in for the night. There is a Trader Joe's frozen Cuban bowl calling my name, and this hotel room has a microwave. It's the little things, right? I have 3 legs tomorrow, which kind of stinks, but at least it's just a 2-day trip. So I will see you tomorrow, hopefully well rested for that 3-leg day. Welcome to day 2 of my 2-day trip. Today I have 3 legs. I've already done one of them, Nashville to Dallas. Now I'm doing Dallas to Vegas. Just gonna start boarding pretty soon here. As I explained last night, right now I'm not getting paid, even though I am setting up my back alley. But it just makes it easier on everyone if I start doing that stuff before the flight begins. So once we get to Vegas, our next flight is back home to LAX, which should be a short flight, but it's delayed at least 45 minutes right now. It's probably going to be longer than that because there is a big old storm in the west right now. So hopefully we make it home tonight. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Never a dull moment, right? Better get to it. All right, I'm on my last flight of the day. All told, this is going to end up being about a 12-hour day, and I'm really tired. This seemed really long. Mascara's running. Oof, I'm a mess. It's only an hour flight to LA, but the weather's looking kind of crappy, so it might be bumpy, which would be fine because that means we wouldn't do a service. But man, this has been a long day between all the delays and everything. So yeah, I'm ready to get home, eat some food, and go to bed. We're back in LA, finally. I'm home. I have 2 days off. Today it was a tough one. It was just like a bunch of little annoying things that just kind of added up to a difficult day. But thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for more flight attendant adventures. This is Kelly from the Awkward Flight Attendant. Peace out. Oh my god. Up on the ice bucket. How about that? Oh gosh, okay. We're gonna be all right. No, just kidding. This is the wrong one. I don't know how much we make, apparently. Let me see here. Aha, okay. International trip, it is $2. I have it all written down here. You can finagle a few hours. You can finagle I only flew 1 flight today. I'm already fatigued. Jeez. I'm delirious. What am I even saying?